And here is my official welcome. 1 o'clock, February the 14th. Happy Business Valentine's. And well done for you guys for showing up, because this is not the loveliest of topics. It's the sometimes it's the bugbear, sometimes it's the elephant in the room, sometimes it's the thing we really, really want to be able to say we've got, but can't always quite get over those hurdles to get there. So my intention for our conversation today is that we can just turn up a little bit of heat on business plans and maybe make them feel a little bit more manageable and a little bit more achievable. And part of that, from my perspective, is being able to share how I find them really useful, and that might just get you carving out a little bit of business love and a little bit of extra business time for you to get your business plans just where you need them to be. Right, so you're in the auditorium. There under over near where you joined, there's probably a spot if you want to download the handout. If you want to print it, absolutely good. You're probably so organised you've done all of that and you're way ahead of me. But otherwise, I really hope that you're comfy, and I hope that you've got your pens and paper, because there's quite a bit of questioning and quite a bit of toing and froing in this presentation. So let's get some slides happening and we will make a move. Here I am. You're probably going to see the slide a little bit. So there I am. That's what I look like. You've also got the video feed as well. I'm an occupational therapist by trade with many decades and tens of thousands of hours of service under my belt. And since selling my business in 2012, I've been working as a business coach, as many of you know, and I love it, absolutely love it. I have such amazing conversations with such an amazing, energetic, passionate allied health business owners all over the country, and increasingly overseas as well. So it's just my absolute pleasure to be able to share what I know, offer introductions to people. You've got some introductions today to some of the other fabulous speakers, because I want you to have the businesses that you need to have so that they serve you, not that you're serving them, and that it gets the impacts and differences that you want for yourself, your team, and your clients. This is a theme that you will hear me speaking about all day. It's very important to me. Here's our agenda for today. I put some little love hearts in there. Why business plans are useful. Planning the action. Creative formats for business plans. Actioning the plan. That's actually where the magic happens, guys. And celebrating success. I am super, super keen to be interactive and helpful during this presentation. I think by now you probably know where the chat box is. You will see it in the controls along perhaps the top or bottom of your screen. That's where I will be looking for your comments, questions, your suggestions, and please don't for a moment hesitate putting any comments or ideas or questions in there, because I may not know the answer, but I'm pretty sure someone in this virtual room will know the answer. And there's a couple of spots during this conversation in the next hour where I will be pausing to check in there, and I'm looking for it to glow up nice and orange so that we can get this business plan bit on the road. Alrighty. Now, this next slide, I am pretty sure a lot of you have seen it before. Interestingly enough, they're not entirely sure who wrote this amazing sentence, but this seems to be the favorited author. So acknowledgement there as well. In my conversations, day in, day out, week after week, I get to be the ears of many, many conversations, and I am yet to meet an allied health provider, an allied health business owner who does not have business dreams this big. But for some reason, they just don't get designed and delivered. So as allied health professionals, our hearts are enormous and our creativity is endless. And you've got to just sort of think for a moment, think about the clinical work that we partner and work through with our customers. We are in the industry of thinking of big futures. We are in the sector that designs bigger futures than our customers can sometimes see for themselves. And we do all of this by setting goals, by designing programs, by building people's capacity to work towards the agreed future. We are wizards at goal setting. We are wizards at task analysis, enabling objectives. We're wizards at reviewing progress and being able to adjust the steps and task analyze day in, day out. But what I'm really curious about is why, and I know there's lots of reasons, why is it that we can't always consistently apply that exact same clinical thinking to ourselves and our businesses? Imagine what that would be like if we could apply that exact same skill set, that's all business planning is, into our businesses. So that could be an interesting point for you to consider. So I would love to be able to progress your energy and thinking about getting your business plans looking really, really ship-shape. And I guess I want you to all imagine just for a moment, if your private practice dreams came true, what would that mean for you? If all your private practice dreams came true, what would it mean for your team? What would it mean for your customers, for your community? Okay, could be really quite powerful, couldn't it? Could be quite wonderful. Okay, so this is the vibe that I've got in my mind as I was designing this presentation, and I'm going to be nudging you a little bit along these lines. I know from my business experience when I had Kids Therapy Network from the late 90s, mid 90s through to 2012, I needed loads of help, loads. I needed more help than I even thought I needed. And help is a mighty fine thing to ask for. And the more help I asked for, the better clarity I got in my mind and the faster my management and leadership skills progressed. So consider help to be the superpower that you may need to bring into your business at times. Put all those bits together, line all those post-it notes up. And in particular, I needed a lot of help with my business planning. I just could not see my future. It was just right in front of me, but I could not see it because my mind and my energy was so allocated to what I call the operational day-to-day admin, people, problem-solving, decision-making kind of activities. And, you know, for me to lift myself up and out and be a lot more strategic, I just didn't know how to do it. So some really great coaching got me over that, and I'm still learning how to do that. I still are refining all of those skills, as I intend to for the rest of my professional life. So my message here is to don't be shy. Everyone needs some help. It's a mighty fine thing to request some help, particularly around something as nitty-gritty as business planning. Because when the plan sort of crystallize in your mind is often when you're talking them out loud. If you're a writer, you might get that clarity through tapping away, but a lot of us are really geared for talking and collaborative conversation and problem solving and illustrating and storytelling. That often tends to be our forte. So if you need a sounding board, if you need to talk through, if you need someone to ask you some really big questions, go face to face and get that help you need. It might come from really surprising quarters. One of my first business mentors was a friend's dad. Okay, later on it was colleagues of my husband. Later on it was other people that I professionally engaged for their services. So it could be, yeah, closer at hand than you think. So I guess my question for you at this point in our conversation is to pick up those pencils. I know you've probably got lunch in one hand. Pick up those pencils and jot down, what would you really love some help with in regards to your business planning right now? You don't have to share it. This is just our little secret. What would you love some help with? Be as specific as you possibly can. All right, I'm going to leave you to treasure that and to think and hopefully act on that little secret later after this conference. Let's throw some thinking at this. Why business plans are useful? Struggling to read my own writing here. For me, the most important part of this image is the circle with success in it. So earlier today in the PEDS Biz Success Factors presentation, I talked about success. So you might want to go there and have a look at that if you haven't already. Success is really, really personal and completely defined by us and what we want our businesses and lifestyles to be. Okay, and we're not going to forget that for a moment, which is why your business plan will be so unique, because the destination that you want to reach is completely identified by yourself. So if we know that success and that end point is the end game where we're going to arrive, consider your business plan a sat nav. Okay? Who can get anywhere nowadays without the phone or the sat nav system in the car? And we know when we plug in our end destination that there will often be a few alternative routes to get there. I'm a huge fan of that, because in my experience and that of some of my mates and clients, business rarely progresses in a straight line. There's always some curves and bends, couple of roundabouts, couple of dead ends. We've all had those experiences. So I'm really keen on the idea that as long as the destination is defined, there's going to be a few different ways that you reach it, okay? They'll all be good. Plan B on that slide looks a little bit shorter than Plan A, but that's okay. That's okay. So it can take a little while to kind of build this stuff out, but it's really, really important. And I spoke before about how great clinically we are with setting and defining goals with our clients. What would it be like if you wrote SMARTER, S-M-A-R-T-E-R, goals for your business? Now, what I'd like to know is who in this conversation knows what the E and the R at the end of SMART actually stands for. I'll keep talking and I'll jump in there in the moment. Put it in the chat box. Do you actually know what the E and the R stand for? Because that's what makes the goal really, really functional and useful. So having your destination defined, having your sat nav and your various routes kind of defined, for me, really helps you frame decisions. It really helps you decide what you are going to do and also what you're not going to do. We only have a certain amount of time, and what we don't want to be doing is getting too distracted by the stuff that we perhaps shouldn't be doing, perhaps some of the roundabouts, perhaps some of the detours that are going to just make it a little bit harder for us to actually get to our defined destination. Having a business plan is pretty much essential for if you're going to be negotiating finance with a bank. We're going to talk a little further along about that. It's essential for if you're seeking a partnership and setting up company and maybe sharing your business aspirations with a trusted partner. Really important when you're changing the structure of your business. You might be looking at some joint ventures, things like that as well. One of the biggest unexpected bonuses of having a business plan for me was being able to share it with my team. I didn't share all of it, but a lot of it I was able to share. And for me, that was a piece of being able to build some trust, build some team love, build some team engagement as well. That we were all on this adventure together. We all kind of had some shared destination and we all had a bit of an idea about the route it was going to take and why. So that when moments came along and I decided not to do something, there was a context for that set of decisions. I'm not sure if I'm alone in this thinking. I'm really happy to have you drop your comments in, but that's how it worked for me. Having a business plan calms my business nerves. I just love having that structure. I love having it sorted. I just love having it documented, and that it's something that I can look at and see every day. We'll talk about that in a minute. As I'm talking about my business plan, I'm trying really, really hard not to turn and look at it. I'll tell you about the format I use, but it is literally just a metre or two from where I'm sitting right now. I'm still trying not to turn and look at it. Okay, so this slide is kind of simple, but the magic is happening in being able to define your destination and your personal success and having some routes in place for how you're going to get there. Calms the nerves, brings the team on the adventure with you, helps you define what you should be doing and what can perhaps wait for later. Right, I'm going to have a little look at the chat box because I haven't put too much attention on that just yet. And while I'm looking there, here's the big question. You so knew that I was going to be asking this. With your hand on your heart, who has got a business plan, a current one that they love, that they use? There's a few conditions. If you have, put a big fat Y into the chat box and give yourself a pat on the back. That is super, super awesome. All right, let me look at the chat box. Aha, so I'm going to go back to the SMARTER goals. Absolutely. Evaluated and readjusted, or evaluated and reviewed. So goals aren't just tick boxes. They have an endpoint as well. Okay, so there's, love your honesty, guys. Gosh, it's just, I love it. Okay, a couple of no's on the business plan, a couple of rusty business plans. That's okay. I know what that feels like. Been trying to finish it for months, Kim. I hear that. I get that. Not current. Okay, there's a couple of yeses. That's all good. Good, good, good. Okay, Andrew, how much time should you invest in a business plan and in what depth should we prepare? Andrew, I'm going to hold that question. If I don't answer it to the extent you want me to, drop it back in the chat box later in the conversation, because that's a mighty fine question, but I am optimistic I'm going to cover some of that stuff off. Right. Yeah, the business plan got started, didn't get finished. Think I need it on paper. Yep, that's always good. Alrighty, well done, you guys. When you don't know where to start, and this comes up in my conversations all the time, when you just don't know how to get it out of your head, when there's just so much rattling around, I'm pretty confident that you have virtually all got your business plans in your head, and I wish for you to get them out of your head, because I'm pretty sure your heads will feel lighter and more creative. So here is a great way to start. What do you want your business to look like by December the 30th, 2018? Okay, some of you in this call are going to have really fast developing businesses. So having some short-term plans, like over the course of the next 10 months, might be absolutely perfect for you. Some of you might have a few more years under your belt and you've got that lovely stability and you're really looking for consolidation. You might want to have a 1-year plan, maybe a 3 or 5. Some of you might have, might be some veterans in the room, and you might be looking at a 5, 10-year, even an exit plan, okay? So through that conversation with those trusted mates, toss that question around. What time frame is perfect for me right now to be working up and bringing to life? Okay, so at the moment on the wall that I'm trying not to look at, I've got my 2018 plan. But tucked away behind it is my 3, 5, 10-year plan as well. And do you know what? I really, really hope those 3, 5, 10-year plans change completely. But it just feels really cool having them there. And part of your business plan is it is this living, big, breathing document that you're jumping in and out of to just kind of see how you're progressing towards it. What I'm going to do with this slide, pencils poised, is I'm going to run through some of the topics or headings, if you like, that you might like to consider including in your business plan. You can buy lots of downloadable templates online. The one from business.gov is kind of good, but I think it's like 30 pages long, and it can feel a little dense. We're going to talk about some formats in a tick because there's lots of ways to be creative with this. So here I go, running through some of the headings you might want to consider. And see if you can pick the ones I leave out, because I'll be talking about them in a minute. Purpose. Why do you do what you do? I've dropped Simon Sinek's book into the public chat room for your consideration later on when you're snooping around there. What's your vision? What do you want your future to look like? What do you want the future of your clients to look like? What's your mission? Why is that so important to you and your business? People. Who's going to be in your team? Who's going to be in your internal team? Remember to include more than clinicians. Remember your bookkeeper. Remember admin. Remember practice manager. Remember all of those also awesome teammates. Who's going to be in your external team of advisors? Is there going to be a coach, an accountant? Is there going to be a lawyer? Is there going to be another mentor that you have? I used to have an advisory board for a little while with my first business, and that's on my business plan. That's one of my goals for this year, is to build an external advisory board to whom I'm accountable for my business progress. Lots about advisory boards online, small business advisory boards. What products are you selling? And when I use the word products, I mean anything that you exchange money for. Are you going to be selling widgets and physical toys, or therapy equipment and things that sit on a shelf? Are you going to be selling services, assessment, consulting, intervention services? Are you going to be selling groups and screening? Are you perhaps going to be selling workshops and education and clinical coaching services? All of those things. What do you want to be on? What do you want to have on your menu? And put the prices there as well. Really bold. Where it gets exciting is you actually have some numbers sitting against that in terms of your financial targets. That's coming up. What revenue do you want? What profit do you want? What rev and profit do you want per month, per quarter, per year? What days do you want to be working? How many hours do you want to be working? How will you be measuring your customer delight? There are some really cool ways of doing that. A little shout out to Clinic Apps, who might be on this. They're certainly in the conference. They might be on this call as well. How are you going to be positioning yourself in the marketplace? What are you going to be known for? How are you going to be mapping your competitors? Just a point of curiosity. You don't have to be them. It's good to know where they are, though. How are you going to be mapping and managing referral partners? That's another presentation sitting somewhere in the day for you to throw some love at. What are your SOPs going to be looking like? Your standard operating procedures, okay? They can be part of your business plan. If you feel you're sitting at 40% completion, maybe by the end of the year, you could be nudging 80% completion. What's your marketing plan going to be? How do you know that your marketing has been effective? So that's where that SMARTER goal sits at the end. And then I've got here another comment, another word. It's a word I've invented, I think, pro-benefit. So what is the benefit that profit from your business will serve? It'll serve you, it'll serve your family, your lifestyle, but will it serve others in different ways? That's really cool to include as well. So your business plan, yeah, might feel like a lot of work, but when you ground it and anchor it right down into the impact it will deliver to you, your family, team clients, so on, it sort of becomes a bit of an easier task to write up. I'm going to pause for a moment and I'm going to pop you the question. Make the contents of your business plan your own. From that list I've just said, what will you include? What else would you like to add? Planning the business action doesn't have to be a huge, long, enormous document. And what I encourage allied health business owners to do is to get a bit creative with getting all of those ideas out of their heads. What we know is that you're carrying it around and it's a bit of a load and a burden, and you just wish you could find time to dump it all out, okay? So part of it might be certainly allocating time. We're about to talk about that. But thinking about how you can get those ideas out of your head. Are you a journaler? Is one journal, I can see my journal sitting over there, where you dump all of your ideas, is that a great way to harvest what you're thinking about and capturing those dreams? Are you a scrapbooker? This entire conference, I promise you, was planned in a scrapbook. Yes, there were a couple of spreadsheets later on, but my scrapbook holds everything. I love color. I love to be able to draw. I'm a huge mind mapper. Mind mapping may be another brilliant source for you to get your ideas out, but to also see the relationships between things. You might want to hit the post-it notes, all those beautiful colors, and I've certainly done a couple of exercises with clients where we get a bundle of post-it note sheets, we get a pen, and we build some categories, and we just slam 100, 200 post-it notes. And to cover up the big windows is quite beautiful, because we can actually then see all of the awesome that can tumble out of the business in the coming 1-3 years, whatever the time frame was that we were working on. But it also meant we could sit there and look at it, and we could talk about it, and we could cluster things together, and some things were repetitive, so we could bundle and layer them up. It was a very lovely, creative, visual way of literally putting the business to the wall. And that's an expression you might have heard me say, throw it at the wall. It doesn't have to be, there's so many ways to be right, but just get it out of your head and throw it at the wall. So my question for you is, how could you get your business planning ideas flowing? How can you get them out of here and onto paper or pixel, heaven forbid a wall, maybe even the big glass doors? How can you get that happening for you? Whilst I would love to give you permission to jet off to Bali for a week and get all of this done, by all means, don't let me stop you. Or a solo day retreat, that can also be a very, very effective way of getting some business development activity done. That might not be practical, but for you to slowly and steadily start harvesting your ideas, that could be a really nice achievable first step. Who has seen this? Let's have a quick look in the chat box as well. Yeah, great comment. Kim, being a startup, the projection questions can be difficult, but just have a red hot go. It's better to be close. What is it? Aim for the moon, you'll land in the stars. It's better to be close, and it's better to be thinking strategically than to just miss the opportunity to do so. Okay, a few guys have seen the SWOT analysis before. Oh dear, there's some business plans in people's heads. Well, that's good. That's good, I guess, isn't it? So the SWOT, oh my gosh, it is as old as the hills. It's as old as me. That's how old it is. It, I think, was from the 60s or so, from what I read when I was swatting up for you. And the S, the W, the O, the T are really kind of self-explanatory. This is a great way to This is a great activity to do, and it can really help you start the shift from working in your business just up and up and up to working on your business. I'd really like to encourage you, though, that you actually do some reading about it before you launch into it. I've read about this a couple of times, and it is a really deep and really interesting, powerful, effective tool. I had no idea how much thinking and design was sitting behind these quite innocent 4 squares until I really went in and read. I'll try and find some of the references, if I've got time, and drop them into the conference chat, public chat, so that you can click some links through. But what happens is those different quadrants all have different relationships to each other, and can all kind of, they all interrelate, and you can actually use your strengths to leverage against your threats and weaknesses, and vice versa. It's really, really incredible. I've used this quite a bit in the past. I used it quite a bit when I had my first practice, and I used it when I really wanted to do some deep critical thinking about a new service that I perhaps wanted to run. And I would have a go at this personally, but then I would also bring it to team meetings and I would discuss it with the team. And it was a great, it was a really interesting way of getting some more strategic business-like thinking happening right around the table. And it wasn't just me kind of doing all of the heavy work. And it highlighted all sorts of things that I hadn't even considered. So that was good as well. So how could you use a SWOT analysis in your business right now? Scribble it down, scribble it down. If you want to be gorgeous and generous, share it up in the chat box. All right, we knew this slide was coming up, didn't we? The time slide. I'd love to give you permission to find some time, a couple of hours, for you to step into this business planning space, but with relaxation and with optimism, rather than with dread of, oh my gosh, this is going to be terrible. It's a really interesting, exciting business activity to be able to do. And we all know neurologically that when we're a bit more chilled, when we're a bit more relaxed, boom, those synapses work in really, really awesome ways. So I personally find longer blocks of time a whole lot more effective. I really love the immersive experience that works for me. You will know what works for you. But and it will also just take you a little bit of time, I suspect, for your ideas to kind of bubble to the surface and for you to really get in the business planning zone. So the bigger 2 or 3 hours, half day, oh, I'm going to be cheeky and suggest a whole day, or maybe within a whole day, 3 lots of 90 minutes, something like that could work really, really well. Okay, so what I do with my business plan is somewhere further into 2018, I think it's the very start of November, I have a full day booked out in my calendar already where I will be working on my 2019 plans. I don't start from scratch on that day in November. Over in my journal, there is a whole lot of stuff already. I'm already thinking about 2019, but I do allocate a whole day to get it all, what's the word, organized, I guess. I might not be locking in dates and really specific stuff. And then I meet with my mentors early in November and we put it all to the wall and we have a really good look at what the year can do for me. So I'm harvesting, scheming now, putting it all down early November, talking it through with other people so that by the time sort of December's done, I'm feeling pretty confident and secure about what 2019 will bring. I know there'll be some curveballs. I hope there are some curveballs. But what I do in between time is I allocate about a half day every quarter to check in with myself as the business owner, to check in with my business plan and to track progress. Pardon me. I've got some quite specific goals in my plan and I can pull up some reports and kind of see how we're walking towards them. Okay. So we've got an annual planning day. I've got a quarterly half days. I have accountability to myself and my mentors every 6 weeks. And then what I do weekly is I have at least 4 hours working on my business every week. We're going to be talking about this a bit later in the day as well. 4 hours. That is the bare minimum that I will always be working on my business and have done for a long, 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 long time. I just find otherwise I get so distracted by other stuff that the business development activities don't happen. That suits me. Your job is to define what is going to be perfect for you and to the best of your ability, make that happen. All right, here comes a curly question. How much do you want this business plan to get done? How can you block out some time, maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow, into your calendar to take the next best step for you to get a bit more business planning done? This slide's got 3 questions. I got one more for you. What impact will your business plan have on your business confidence and your business success? If you can, do you think you could even put a dollar value against that? Worth a go. All right, so there's more in this business plan than what I've alluded to so far. It's really important to have the financials in there. You might have had a listen to Amanda Fisher's conversation, her presentation earlier, and I've alluded to it in the PEDS Biz Success Factors that you need to know your numbers. And if you're not sure of your numbers right now, that's okay. I completely trust that you will be taking great steps towards becoming more financially fluent. And if being able to produce a business plan is another motivation, leap on in. Where it gets good is if you've got a financial component to your business plan. What are your revenue and profit, maybe even expenses now? What do you want them to be? Perhaps the end of the year. That's a good one. Have you got a budget? Budget is a great thing to have in here, and this is a great one to work up with your bookkeeper or accountant. You don't have to love spreadsheets, you just have to know the story of your numbers. You have to know what makes your numbers change. Okay, you might want to have in a cash flow projection in there as well. Many of us work with children. We know what mid-December to mid-February is like. And to have a plan, I work with all of my clients from September, October onwards to completely have the summer cash flow locked, solved, and as much going on across the summer break in all sorts of different areas as possible. You might also want to have in your business plan some market analysis. You might want to do some secret shopper work and find out who's doing what and have some of their numbers sitting there so you know where you've positioned yourself. You might also want to do some risk analysis as well so that you have perhaps got an independent set of eyes having a look at your business to see where risk is. Okay, are you overexposed to NDIS? Are you overexposed to competitors? Are you overexposed to the Medicare plans? So on and so forth. Are you overexposed in terms of particular teammates that you've got in? There are lots of ways of looking at risk. That is a very, very shallow way of looking at it. Are you overexposed in terms of how you do your billing, so on and so forth? The other piece I would love to see in your business plans is some of your personal life plans as well. So often that we feel that we are serving our businesses. Whoa, imagine what it would feel like if your business served you. Okay, and part of that is having some clarity around what you want for your lives and the lives of your family as well. I did organize myself with my books. One of the best chapters I've ever read about work-life balance, which I personally don't believe exists, and this guy doesn't either, is The One Thing. This was my book of 2012. The One Thing by Gary Keller. He's got an incredible chapter on work-life balance and how to make it work for you. Whew. I'll put that into the chat room as well. Okay, so there's some of the extra bits. Finances, risk management, market analysis, your personal life goals as well for the year. All of that stuff goes together. Rarely as business owners can we pull business and life apart. But it's kind of good to have your life intentions in there as well. Right, your business plan, as I mentioned earlier, does not have to be a monumental 30-page document. I've seen business plans developed as mind maps, just great big bits of paper, mind maps, great goals in there, great numbers in there. I've seen business plans developed on Trello, which is that app I talked about earlier. I've seen them in Word documents. I've seen them in chapters. That's all fine, whatever works for you. My business plan is an A2 size poster and is sitting up over there. For those that have done a little bit of business planning before, you guys might, really like these books. Some of you, I'm sure, have seen them. The Business Model Generation, the first book, the black and white one there on the top left, is incredible. And I use this a lot now when I'm planning out new projects, new services, new things that I'm working on. It is essentially a one-page business plan. It gives you 9 building blocks that help you build out your business. It's quick, it's lean, absolutely amazing. I just love the questions it asks me that I need to be able to answer to see this new idea and to see its viability. From the same family is the Value Proposition Design book. I'm less familiar with this just because I'm just so addicted to the other one. But you guys jump on in, have a little look at them on Amazon and see if one suits for you. With the Business Model Generation, I personally got some advice on how to use it, and I had a mentoring session with a consultant, which was amazing. And I've also done some workshops with one of the Australian trained consultants as well. That's how good I thought it was. All right, so I did miss a slide. Let me just jump into, where is the chat box gone? Oh dear, too much clicking going on. All right. Do we hire someone for the risk analysis? Potentially. Potentially, Kim. It could be that you could just do a little bit of reading and some self-study and you will get the idea of some of the questions that you could be asking yourself. Yeah, Eva, getting the flow is really, really important, and to be able to have some space and some confidence that you can kind of deliver on that good stuff. I agree, and it takes a little bit of time. Right. Not quite sure why we've got that message at the top. Right, no big surprise. Remember, I'm an OT. Your business plan springs to life when it's visual, okay? Nothing beats being able to walk past it, being able to see it every single day, okay? I walk past that plan, I don't know, 20 times a day. It means that you can speak to it. It means that you can share it with the people that you want to share it with. It means that it's real and you've got that commitment to yourself that that's what you're driving towards, okay? Really helps you get focused. And when there's uncertainty or decisions that you need to make, you can go and stand there and just have a good look at it, refresh yourself with where you're going and keep it fresh. So have a think in the chat box or maybe just secret squirrel in your own notes. What would you like your business plan to look like? You're going to go high tech? Are you going to go one pager? You're going to go poster? You're going to go big document? You're going to go mind map? You're going to go Trello? Have a think about what's going to suit you. If you want to share it up in the chat box, we'd be very happy to support you with it. Okay, if you need a business plan for the bank or lending purposes, the bank they will want you full financial diligence. So you're going to be providing profit and loss for X number of years, whatever they want. They'll want to see your balance sheet. They'll be wanting to see your cash flow projections, all sorts of things. So that's a whole piece of work that you do with your bookkeeper and accountant. But yeah, ask them about the format that they want. And if you do need to modify it into a format that they deem to be useful and acceptable, that's okay. If you've done the heavy lifting, it's not going to be too much of a leap. Okay, looks like the screen has been changed. Zoom in, low quality. Alrighty, I'll have a little bit of a click around. It's blurry from your point of view. Let me see what I can do. That's not useful. I don't know if any of the guys from VFairs are on here, whether they can help me with that. I did something before when I went to let me see. Gives you a moment to think and a little rest from my ears, doesn't it? What I might quickly do, okay, whatever I did, maybe it was something at the Zoom end. Who knows? Let's just take it as a bit of Zoom magic. My apologies. I'm pretty proficient with this platform, but at times it does, who knows, it does throws me some weird things. Right, let's get the hustle on, or else you guys are we're gonna be here all afternoon. All right, so just to refresh, make it visual, okay? Make it visual in a way that you need it to be. All right, so it's one thing to have a business plan. That's a mighty proud moment. But guess what? It's only as good as you use it. Back when I first started, I'm really throwing love at my business plans. They were big printed documents. That's how old I am. And it was stapled, and it wasn't stapled. I took it to the printer and I got it spiral bound. It had a board on the back, cover on the top, and it sat on my desk. And I looked at it. I was in and out of it all the time. And as I did that, there were coffee stains on it, there were wine stains on it, there are a few tears on there as well, but it became the most battered document in the building. And that was really me optimizing my ideas, my dreams, and really bringing them to life. So I don't want you to go to all the effort of writing up a brilliant, brilliant plan that's perfect for you without actually using it. Okay, it's got to become a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month, quarter-to-quarter, year-to-year document. Really has to be released. And it could be that this is one of the change agents for you, perhaps stepping a little bit away from the clinical place and starting to embrace the management leadership place. It's just that time thing, hey? I talk about that clinical management leadership juggle all the time. I've made a very bold statement about a minimum of 4 hours business development per week. You can just shoot me down on that one, but I'm really happy to chat about it as well, because I've just seen it time after time after time, and it happened for me in my business. As my clinical load decreased, my business development went up. Guess what happened in the bank? Way more profit, way more profit. But it can't happen overnight. You need a little bit of a strategy for how you release one, embrace the other, and then enjoy the benefit of profit later on. One of the best ways that I get my business plan done is something called a default diary. Okay, so if you opened up my diary, scary place as it is, you will see that there are blocks of time set out across the week. They do not move. Those blocks of time are the same for 50 weeks, probably 48 weeks. Okay, Monday morning, business development time. Friday morning, financial time. Wednesdays, partnership phone calls. Things like that. They are locked in, absolutely locked in. Pretty not negotiable, because I know what it's like when I lose that time. I know how I am on the catch up for a week or two afterwards, okay? So how do you eat the elephant in the room? One bite at a time. So you've got your plan, you're thinking about how you're going to be living and working your plan day, week, month, quarter, annually. And we know that as clinicians, we are trained in task analysis. So what I do with my business plan is I set out projects. Okay, so I've got about 10 projects over there at the moment, and that came from getting all the post-it notes out and categorizing them. So when I slammed out everything that I wanted to achieve this year, they naturally grouped. No big surprises. And that really helps the overwhelm, because all of a sudden I could see that 10 or 15 sticky notes went together, and that built a website project. So yeah, there's 10 or 15 things to do there, but they're all sitting together. So I've got a website project over there. In terms of people and team, a whole lot of stuff went together. So I've got a team building project over there as well. I've got a marketing project over there. I've got financial goals and projects over there. I've got systems sitting in my financial programs as well. I need to be a lot more systemized. Full transparency here today. So think about how you can perhaps divide the sections of your business plan into specific projects that you really, really, really want to get done and that you know with certainty will have a really positive outcome on your business and your lifestyle. For me, that made it so much more manageable, and it really pulled it into super familiar territory. I know how to do projects. I know how to work out how to get stuff done. I just needed to get it out of my head and coordinate it, and then it felt so much more achievable. With that idea of busting your business plan down into projects, how could that help you and your business going forward? Secret squirrel, write in a couple of notes there. It's a team sport, and I've already alluded to the sort of teammates that you might need in your business village, okay? Business planning can be the role and responsibility and the excitement of your admin and front of house team, your clinical team. Maybe you've got some marketing support in there as well, your finance team, so on and so forth. I've even used my customers as part of my business plan build as well. And this is happening increasingly, that there are, consumers, a bit of a, I'm not sure about that word, but customer feedback, customer investment in what they want your business to look like. Customer feedback is amazing and very, very insightful. So don't be afraid to do some of the heavy lifting yourselves, but then put it out to the business tribe. Get some feedback, get some feed forward. And what that helps is for those times later on when you might need to delegate some of the business development activities to some of the guys that have come along with you and that they're part of the adventure. Okay, so bring them in, bring them with you, and do it together, do it collaboratively. How good is this? The best way to predict the future is to invent it. Alan Kay is an American computer scientist and an absolute visionary. And one of the topics that I've got under in my notes here under this slide is management mindset and habits. And we are completely working that over later tonight at 7 o'clock, at the end of the conference. But what I wish for you is for you to dig deep and really dial up that entrepreneurial spirit, okay? And really own the space of making your business what you want it to be. And just release those dreams. Get them out, release them, imagine them as butterflies, organize them a little bit, and really have a great, great operational plan for making that defined strategy happen for you. Because what I sometimes hear about is that allied health business owners have actually bought themselves a job. They're working harder than they've ever worked, longer hours, potentially for less income, certainly less time as well. And with a little bit of work and a little bit of support, that scenario can change surprisingly quickly, in my experience. There's others of you that are really in build mode and grow mode. I know some of you in this conference are, oh my gosh, you have exceeded your 1 year plan in 3 months, some of the really, really fast startups. So that needs to be captured and that momentum harnessed. I know there's also some of you in this conference, and some of the guys that I work with are really in build to sell mode as well. Another great reason to have a really solid business plan that potentially has you exiting the building at some point as well. That's a mighty fine, exciting moment. Oh my goodness, they're big times. So it can start with some daily habits. What can you do on a daily basis to serve your business plan? What can you do weekly to serve your business plan? Do you think you could hustle up that 3 hours per quarter to check in on your business plan and make sure it's tight and strategic for the next quarter? What could you be doing at the end of the year? What could you be doing at the start of the year? How can you use those really, really natural time points to get this stuff done? Right. Whoa. We are pretty much on time. Woohoo! What feels better than knowing you've done a brilliant job? So we love this feeling when we have achieved wonderfulness with our customers, and we are the first to be there to celebrate and acknowledge those positive outcomes in our clinical lives. But do we make as much noise and do we make as much fuss when we really nail those business objectives that we've set? I don't know that we do. One of the best text messages I ever got was a couple of years ago. It was a colleague, and I knew some of her business metrics, and I knew she had a goal of 150 hours of service per week. That was her team goal. And one day I got a text message, and it had a love heart and it had 150. And I knew, she didn't have to say anything. I knew that she had hit that goal, that her business had delivered 150 hours of service that week. Woohoo. And I also knew that she and her family were out for dinner. I could see from her social media post, and I knew why. And I commend her, A, for having that audacious, fabulous goal, but also sharing it and also celebrating it with a bottle of something very French and fancy. So that's another beautiful silver lining to all the effort that goes into creating a business plan, is it gives you the pauses across the day, the week, the month, the quarter, the year, to really check in on what you've succeeded, what you've done, what you've achieved. The year just gallops by, and so does our imagination, and it's really easy to miss those big moments where you can actually check and pat yourself on the back. So I'm going to leave you with that last thought, maybe even that vision of a bottle of champagne. I would love you to just quickly think, we've literally got 90 seconds, quickly think about the 3 biggest takeaways that you have in your notes from today's presentation. Jot them down. If you want to, drop them in the chat box as well, because I'd be really interested to see if your takeaways are similar to other people's. Look at that chat box light up. Yeah, Tina, I'll pop the books in the links. That's all good. Okay, good. There's a bit of a general business plan that's happened. Business plans work best when they're fun. They can be fun, they can be easy, and I want to add effective in there as well. Great. That is good. Allocating specific times to getting them done, absolutely. Who feels a little more enthusiastic about getting this piece of work done? Pop it in the chat box. Yay, I'm seeing some yeses and some me's. Getting it out of your head, getting it creative. I give you permission to go to the big blue office supply place and investing in some Post-it notes and pens. Great. It's going in the diary now. My mission is done. Here I am. You guys know that you can ask me anything, anytime. The best way to get into my earbuds is, or into my eyeballs even, is via kathy@naker.com.au. And that foxy looking link is actually the direct link into my calendar. Not a problem for any of you to click through there and pick the power call option, and that gives us 30 minutes together. Totally free, no obligation. I just love a chat, as you can probably tell by now. And you can just ask me anything about the business plans or any of the other content that we're throwing at you today with lots of business love. So I am going to get out of your eyes, out of your ears. I'm pretty sure the next round of sessions is about to start. You can click on back to the auditorium. Thank you. Well done. Not the easiest of topics, but well done to all of you. I'm glad you've had some value out of it. Have a great day. See you later.